Hello, lovely souls. My name is Amelia Bird. I'm a divine channel. I am assisting people through the Ascension since my own journey. A few years ago, I was guided to aid people through the Ascension to help others know that any symptoms or experiences they are having, they are part of the Ascension. And part of my role this far was to be guiding people, guiding light workers who are ascending themselves, while I am also going through my own ascension journey. And why this process has been long, as of recently, in fact, last year, it has intensified even more and the energies have increased. And after the 1/1 portal of 2022, there's been an increased amount of energy streaming on the earth, and the accession of not only the light workers but the earth itself, the entire collective, and all consciousness as we know it, as we're experiencing, has started to ascend in a very rapid speed. And that is when, after the 1/1 portal, a lot of the information about the final event, about the final step of the ascension, has begun to reveal itself to me. With the assistance of so many archangels and divine beings, through my channelings, they have started to bring me this very high vibrational information about the big solar flash, about the events before and after this event. And this has occurred over several channelings, not only one, because the energies and the vibrations are so high vibrational. We're talking about the biggest shift that the earth has ever and ever will experience. After I have collected all the information, or most of it, because more of them are still being revealed itself, I was told that I shall create a share so that I'll let all of you who are listening know the events that are about to occur and that have already started to occur very rapidly. And I know the question you want to ask: when is the big final event, the big final shift? It has already been set into motion, is what I can tell you. The exact date or timeline is expected within the next coming weeks, but because we're so constantly shifting and rapidly moving through the energies, it is changing. So I am just gonna bring you the information of what will occur as I have received it. I have also chosen not to bring a direct channeling, to bring all this information through directly from the divine, but use my own understanding to explain certain things, and I know that you will understand that better. This information is very increased in radiance, and it will bring a lot of activations and downloads. In fact, I've been activating myself to prepare for this share. So if you feel the energies increasing while you're listening, feel free to just pause and walk to move the energy through, and continue this at any time that you see fit. Firstly, I would like to explain that this information that are coming through now is one of the most possible timelines of the events that are about to occur on Earth. And this is the one aspect, the one timeline that I am asked to share. And in fact, the one timeline that I was given any information on. So that's the one I am sharing. But if you are tapping in and you're receiving different information, doesn't mean that one is wrong than the other. It just means we're tapping into different timelines. But this is one has been the one that's been repeating often and very, 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 very frequently after the 1-1. So I'm quite certain that this is the more possible timeline that will assist everybody ascend. First, let me explain how the sun plays a very important role in our ascension journey. So the sun was and always has been a source where pure light joins us. The sun is charged by so many galactic beings that constantly bring pure high frequency energy into the sun. The sun has also been placed there and disconnected with the pure source, and it has consciousness of source. So anyone that can channel and can tap into the sun energy will feel the divine masculine energy of the sun that is placed there strategically in the center of our solar system, and it transmutes and sends energy out to the entire solar system, and it brings frequency, it brings light to all the planets, Earth as we live in, and to Gaia, which is the consciousness of the Earth, and to the entire collective, which is the people, and also the plants and the trees and the animals. They're all receiving energy from the sun, and the sun continues to charge us constantly, sending us higher frequency light. So in Lemurian times, there were temples of light that used to hold greater light to keep the frequency of the earth at a higher frequency. And those were maintained by very powerful light workers, beings of light, priests and priestesses of the light. And these temples of the light, plus the energy of the sun, used to charge and keep the entire frequency onto an increased elevated frequency. Now, the temples were constantly charged with the assistance of the sun, but also with by bringing in light from source directly, because the priestesses and the priests of those temples were very, very high vibrational and can bring in energy and can transmute it and can shift it and can charge, and that's how the entire earth, the consciousness on earth as well, was charged by those temples and by the sun. And after the fall of Lemuria, of Atlantis, and other high vibrational civilizations, the temples of light were buried. They were dropped in frequency. They no longer functioned. So there wasn't one source that could keep the entire earth onto that increased high level vibration. And so the density spread more and more. It was consuming more than it should, and that's how fear exists, and all those negative emotions, they are so easy to tap into. And the sun is our source that keeps us from complete chaos, because it continues to stream in light and continues to charge us. So we are receiving light consciousness, but we cannot completely be surrounded in the darkness, in the dark frequencies, because the sun constantly shines and constantly charges. So it plays a very important role on keeping the entire solar system in a certain frequency. Now the light workers, after a certain amount of time, and you know how Yeshua, Jesus, came on earth and started to bring in high frequency light, but a lot of the work needed to be done because the energy has dropped so much. And slowly after Yeshua, after so many light workers that have ascended repeatedly over and over, I'm sure you're one of them, on the earth plane, continuously bringing in light consciously or unconsciously, because many times you're just so high vibrational that you're naturally receiving, and you're connected with the sun, and you're receiving light, and you're grounding it and anchoring it automatically. So a lot of that has happened since that moment of the fall, so that gently the whole frequency begins to rise again and increase. So now, after so much time, after the 1-1 portal, a lot of the light locations that have been deactivated since the fall have been charged, have been receiving the light, have been charging, and slowly the energy that exists on Earth is increasing in frequency and vibration. And all the temples of light, most of them, many of them you can see, some are hidden deep within the seas, are charged. And the light is connected with what we call crystalline grid. There are sources of and light locations that are on the earth that are linking and connecting together. And now the entire grid is in the process of charging and increasing and wrapping around the entire collective. The entire consciousness on the earth is receiving a boost, a high frequency, and that all has occurred through the light workers' work, through all these years, through the sun energy, through the sun activity, through the portals of light, through many galactic beings that are assisting us to ascend, through the full moons and the new moons and the retrogrades, because all of the planets are assisting each other. The frequency on the earth needed to reach a certain frequency so that the next level of events is able to occur. And because it needs to be energetically sustained through the events that will occur to be able to hold the giant amount of frequency that will join the earth and that will be created. And so the aim is to reach much higher than we are now, of course. And while we slowly go to this point, now the energy has increased and the sun activity has increased to assist us to move into the next phase. That this next phase speeds up and fast tracks a lot, because before it was very slow moving, decades, over hundreds of years, but now it speeds up so much and everything is moving very rapidly. The sun reaches and matches that frequency now with the increased solar flares and the sun activity that we have noticed. And this is part of the plan, because the sun continues to assist us to reach that higher frequency and that higher alignment. But the key is to be able to hold that. So now that the next phase, where all consciousness on earth needs to awaken to be able to move on to the next phase. Every soul reincarnating on earth at this time has the chance to ascend. That is part of their soul mission. That's why they have incarnated here. However, regardless of the lessons or the contracts that the soul has agreed to prior, there's always free will involved. And as we move closer and closer to that higher frequency that is dominant, of which we call New Earth, every living soul has to make the choice of Ascension. The old Earth, the old timelines, and the frequency, and everything that was connected to density, to fear, to negativity, to low vibrations will not longer be sustainable, because of the amount of increased high frequency that's about to join us. The old timelines and anything based on the false concept will no longer be sustained. So the people have to decide if they choose to ascend, if they choose to awaken themselves, because many of the light workers have already been notified and have already went through many transformations, and now the rest of the world is in preparation, and that has begun already, to help them decide, do you choose to stay with this density this and this and this event happens in your life that brings up this and this fear, emotion, karma, trauma of the past. Is this something that you want to hold on to, or that you're ready to release? Because if you are still linked to it and you haven't learned any of the lessons, then you can no longer hold on to it. And if you choose to hold on to it, the new Earth's frequency will not be able to sustain all that. Because what will happen after the finalization of the event is the entire frequency and the entire collective will have zeroed in energy, and density and negativity will be wiped out. So all the karma, all the fears, all the DNA of lineage that you have carried over your ancestors will completely clear. You have no access to it anymore. But if you choose to stay, to not move on and not ascend, which is a free will and there's absolutely no judgment, then you have to choose a different plane where your soul can continue the lessons. And I'll explain that in a moment. But now everybody will come to a point where they have to decide. They're brought into a certain phase where many of the non-awakened are feeling the density, the frustrations, fears are coming up, lots of triggers, many dead ends in their lives. And the COVID virus as well has been one of those events that needed to happen to bring people into the realization of this is what's happening now into the old earth, and this is what's bringing up oppression, fear, illnesses. Is this something that you want to continue carrying? And many people have awakened and have realized and have brought into complete expansions because of the COVID, because of what we are brought to experience. And we're bringing in desires, the desire of, I don't want this anymore. I want happiness. I want freedom. I want love. I want unity. And just this click that happens within the people, and this is their free will. This is their free will of what they choose to carry on, ascending, move on to that timeline, or if they choose not to. And now the energy is so powerful and high in frequency that people can no longer keep the density in. The solar flares and the such increased sun activity that floods the earth now from the sun awakens the people and brings out all the density and all the trauma. Awakens because the density is wiped out because of the light frequency on earth. Everything is rising up, all the density, it's just coming up to the surface to be wiped out and cleared. This is what high frequencies of the sun bring up right now. And not just on the people, but on the government and everything that exists on earth, the laws, the belief systems, everything. So after the 1-1 portal and after the COVID has struck and the earth has reached a certain frequency, and the sun began to send a Morse code kind of emission of energy, alerting all the consciousness and all the planets that the certain point of energy has been reached, and the earth and the entire consciousness and the entire solar system is now ready for the next phase, which is the final event. And a rainbow light begins to shower, to flow from the sun. As of very recently, it's a different kind of frequency. And something that I have to mention is the sun has been charged millions of years ago during Lemurian times. The people, the high frequency that were carrying and they were awakened, that were carrying high frequency codes, they send a lot of those in the sun and they have locked it. And these rainbow lights brings up a lot of that energy, a lot of those new codes, a lot of the remembrance that we need to remember to get into the final step. And this rainbow light, if you look at the sun, many people begin to see this rainbow light, soft energy of this sort of light, and it impacts the entire collective Gaia consciousness as well as the entire solar system. And through the recent portals, the gemstones inside the earth are charged and increase in light. A lot of the galactics now have joined us and have surrounded us because the sun has alerted it is time. It is time. Get into position. So, and the entire sun has been sending a pre-event sort of energies that are very high vibrational and very intense in nature, and they are preparing the people, they are charging the grids, and they are alerting the entire consciousness that it's almost time. Planets, as you have noticed, affect the earth itself, and those who are sensitive to energy are feeling when there are retrogrades, because this is when the impact, the energy of that planet affects us the most, and it does help us in our own ascension. So the sun, as it's in the center of the solar system, it charges and activates, and it brings into readiness the entire solar system as well. So not only we are ascending, but also the entire solar system, and they are brought into a similar frequency. Recently, I was told that there are galactic grids that are connected with each other as we speak, because they need to be in harmony. The entire system, the entire solar system needs to be in harmony, and not one should be lower than the other, so everything is aligning. Just like the crystalline grid tries to keep the entire energy on the earth on a steady higher frequency. So what is next? What happens next? Is it the big solar flash? Will the sun finally emit the big burst of light that will awaken the consciousness and will bring us a lot of the necessary high frequency? The answer is no, not quite. A lot of what will occur next is not expected. In fact, I was very surprised when I have received that information. What will happen before the big solar flash is very needed to bring the final awakening and the final clearing of the density onto the planet before the big solar flash can occur. The sun on itself, as I have received the information, can emit a giant solar sunspot that will burst and send solar winds onto the earth that will bring us that high frequency light and energy. But that is not going to be enough, because what the earth needs is a lot more. And this next event is going to bring us that. So before the big solar flash, there are a few events that will occur that will bring complete chaos and panic to the people. And it feels like sort of those who see in movies, those sort of big events that it's just so hard to wrap your head around. But understand that the great chaos that will occur is the one that will bring the final shift. So everything is needed. So I'm being told that the events that will occur were bringing me a lot of symbolism to Jesus when he first came on earth, to spread the messages, and there was a steady rise, but then there was that one big event that needed to occur to finally bring the message through, and also has created a ripple of energy onto the entire earth. So it was also energetic event as much as it was for the collective and for the lessons that he has brought through. And one of that event was the crucifixion. It was not fun, it was not pleasant, but it was something that needed to happen to bring a certain outcome through. And that's what needs to happen. The complete stir and complete chaos that will have to happen before the final rise. Just like that, they have started to bring me a symbolism with the planets. So the planets, they're all aligning together, just like the apostles. There's one planet that is playing the part of Judas in the story of Jesus. One had to go through certain series of events to bring the final event through. So if Judas hasn't betrayed Jesus, then the whole crucifixion will have happened and the event will have been initiated. So this is exactly what will happen now. And Uranus, the planet Uranus, will bring us this final event. So what will happen next is the information that I'm given. Many years ago, Uranus has been hit by an asteroid, or a series of asteroids, I'm not sure on that, and has caused Uranus to tilt a lot. Uranus is still in its orbit. It is very tilted. And I was not aware of that information, as I didn't know the history of the planets at all, so I wasn't aware. But yeah, they brought me this information through, and then they said, so this final event has started and was initiated many millions years ago to bring Uranus in preparation for this event. So what will happen next is asteroids or meteors, I'm not sure on that, they will miss the Earth, they pass through the Earth, I was told, and then hit towards Uranus. And they will hit Uranus on a specific point, hitting it half Uranus itself and half its orbit, and it's gonna cause it to fall from this orbit. So, well, Uranus will fall from its orbit. It's going to move towards the sun. The Uranus will start to deteriorate. A lot of parts of Uranus will hit other planets. While it is moving, it will not hit directly the Earth. But many parts of the planet will, in fact, pieces of Uranus, let's say, will fall on the Earth in a specific locations, I was told. So this is already predestined and preset. And the big impact that those parts of Uranus that will bring great earthquakes and tsunamis, because parts of those will fall in the sea, so they will bring a lot of torrents, and when they'll hit land, they'll cause great earthquakes. The collective, the people who are to observe this, to know this, we are having access to a lot of high technology. So we'll know when this is about to occur. We'll be alerted. We'll know that the Uranus has fallen from its orbit and it is moving towards the Earth anyway. So there'll be a complete chaos, panic, and worry among the people, fearing the final event, fearing the judgment day. And that's how chaos will completely spread onto to the entire Earth. And we'll see Uranus. I was given an image of us looking into the screens, to our TV screens, and seeing it take place. And the media will cause even more panic and even more worry as to what will occur. And people will literally think this is the end, we've reached the end. So imagine the panic and the worry that will occur in those moments on the earth. When Uranus will disorient and parts of it will fall, it will bring damage onto the surface of the earth. Not into the entire earth, but parts of it. And I was told this is going to be 3 days of chaos. Just like Yeshua, Jesus, 3 days that was on the cross. There's going to be 3 days of darkness on the earth. People seeing and panicking, and I'm told that people will realize the souls that are not ready for the journey yet. They're not ready to reach the next level, completely overwhelmed, and the soul seeing it happening and fearing that this is the end, they will say, that's it, I'm out. Those souls who have decided not to anyway continue their journeys on the earth will leave their bodies during those 3 days. And so those 3 days, there's going to be a lot of dust in the air. The pollution, the air is going to be very heavy because a lot of the dust and particles of Uranus will spread and fill the earth. So we'll be asked to stay indoors during those 3 days and with closed windows. And I am told it is advisable not to go out during that time until the air pollution has settled without a proper filter mask. So what will happen after these 3 days of chaos? The Uranus will have created such an impact and such an energetic shift onto the energy, and because it will get close to the sun, it will create the necessary impact, the necessary force to bring us that final solar flash. So the sun, yes, will create a big solar flash because it will be originated from the Uranus events. As Uranus will hit towards the sun, the impact, even though it will not actually hit the sun, it will disorient it before it reaches. The force is what will be needing for the final blast of light, which brings us on to the very final event, the big solar flash. Many people are asked to stay in certain locations, to stay in certain countries or places. Now, as we are in preparation of the final events that will occur in Earth, and during the big solar flash, a giant light force will fill the entire Earth. So what I'm told is there will be day everywhere during those moments. It will be day into the darkest of corners, into the deepest of the oceans, as the blast of light from the sun reaches. And what that does is zeroes all the density out. It completely wipes out all the density, all any leftover timelines that were connected with the new Earth, or the low frequencies that were still linked onto the Earth will completely wipes out. The density that the people carry as well will be wiped out. And there's going to be such a high vibration onto the Earth at this time that completely clears all density that has ever been, that has existed up and inside the Earth and all around the people and the consciousnesses. I've already mentioned that there are a lot of galactic spaceships that have surrounded the Earth during the sun's alert emission in preparation, because none of the people that choose to remain will be left alone. Everybody receives assistance from their own soul families, from the galactic beings, and there's so many galactic spaceships lining up, and the consciousness, the soul of the person during the big solar flash will enter into the galactic spaceships energetically, because it's an energy thing, and the divine beings there, the galactic beings of light there, will help to clear away and to assist the energy to reach that higher frequency that will exist on Earth. So those who have not prepared will receive the assistance then. And what will happen as well is those people who have decided to walk out because they're not ready to continue the journey on the earth, there will be a lot of souls that are called walk-ins that will take the place, and they will enter into the same bodies, carrying different lessons, different soul missions, with very high vibrational souls. Usually only do that the aim to assist humanity to rise higher. So many of the walk-ins will be taking the place of those who have chosen not to remain. So what will happen after the big solar flash? What are we to expect? This is what I'm told. The people, after the big solar flash and after they have fully grounded and aligned and realize that there's something is different, they're feeling lighter, they're feeling that there is no longer as heaviness, and indeed the heaviness that was lingering, the earth no longer exists, not easy to tap into, and they'll feel different, they'll feel more elevated. Something will have changed because they are experiencing life with more of their soul than with their ego. The density that was there before, that was there in the bodies, that was there in the atmosphere, will have been wiped out. So the people will just open the doors and go out, and they just be truly happy to see everything, to see everyone, to see consciousness in a different way. The entire earth will have changed as well in regards to the frequency. The colors will be way more vibrant on the earth. The flowers will smell 100 times better, more vibrant smells. The fruits that come out of the trees will be way more tasty, because the earth was holding density and couldn't bring us this complete frequency of light, of purity, while on earth. But now it will have shifted, it will have cleared. And the vision that came to mind was the Garden of Eden. Well, there was a garden full of beautiful fruit trees, and everything tasted even better than the other. This is the new earth, because the frequency now is clear, and the taste of everything that comes from the earth is 10 times better, maybe 100 times better. We'll see. And so the people will meet each other and be truly happy. You're here too, and I'm so happy to see you. And imagine somebody went through the apocalypse and coming out the other side alive. There's a complete sense of harmony, of bliss, of complete happiness in the air. And that's when the changes will begin to happen. By the way, I have to mention, during the big solar flash, yes, there will be great loss of electricity. The internet will no longer work, of course. The electricity will be wiped out because of the intensity of the big energies, light that will flow through. It will just something that to be aware of. Anything with a wire will not function. Anything that even that has batteries, again, will not function. During those moments, the people that will awaken and completely feel peace and bliss and happiness, and they will no longer care to follow rules and laws and governments, and they choose freedom, they choose love, they choose unity, they choose complete happiness and fun and doing things that truly matter. So that's when the big changes will begin to occur into the earth, as we will be in the start of the new earth. People will choose to no longer follow the laws, no longer follow the government. So everything that used to be there will just not resonate anymore, and we'll choose not to follow it. The time, why will we waste time working in jobs that don't fulfill us anymore? They just choose not to do it, and there'll be people working just a few hours a day and then spending the rest of the day with family, laughing and enjoying, truly enjoying life. So that's when the changes slowly begin to occur. Regarding the electricity, yes, electricity, if chosen, will return in due time. After a few weeks, after the big solar flash, electricity will return, but there's going to be a change in everything, because what will no longer resonate with the new earth, with alignment, with peace, with bliss, with harmony, we choose not to bring it through. So if electricity brings pollution, there's going to be a new way. If cars bring pollution, then there's going to be a new way. So we choose the convenience, we choose the fun aspect of it, but we also choose whatever brings us bliss for all and harmony for all. Of course, the people will be more in tune and more connected with one another, the consciousness on the earth, the animals. There'll be telepathic connection. It's gonna be everybody uniting. We become creators. We choose to tap into and we choose to connect with light, because we went through the density and we know what is that like, and we have chosen to be here on earth to experience the lightness. So we choose not to tap into density, even though if there are any people I still choose to bring that through, or choose to experience it, to choose to go by the laws or to bring society back, or the government, they will alchemize and not sustain, because there's not going to be a charge anymore on that sort of thing. What the focus will be is going to be on love and unity and bliss. And so what I'm being told as well is that the animals begin to feel of the big event that's about to occur, and these gonna be the birds and the animals that are not so domesticated also feel it, because they are connected with the earth, and they do feel the Morse code of the sun that begins to awaken and activate themselves as well. So I'm being told that you'll notice the birds flying in a different sort of way, trying to alert humans and humanity on what's about to occur. Regarding the new earth, as time moves, there's going to be many things that have changed on earth. Gravity will no longer pull us down. Gravity is something of the 3D reality, so will not be so pulled down by that law anymore, as well as what time and space. As we evolve and as time progresses and we become more in tune with the light, and we get the sense of those different sets of realities that are here on earth now, we'll realize that we can choose to be here and there. Time will not longer be a barrier for us. There's that sort of different reality that we'll begin to explore and experience. Of course, in the new earth, there are no illnesses, and there are a lot of high vibrational light moving through each one of us, that even aging is not going to be the same. We will be able to live for hundreds of years, and most of us will live young, because there's so much light that exists within ourselves now that's going to be pure light. We'll look young. That's some of the information I have brought through about the new earth that was ready to be revealed this time. I was told, don't warn the others. Those who are not awakened, there is no point in alerting them, in warning them about what will occur, because they will not understand it and they will not accept it. So there is no point to warn them. There's no point of saying anything. Also, during those 3 days, don't panic and don't try to help. Don't try to help is what I'm told. People will be in panic and disarray, and there's no point. I am told it's better if you can stay inside in your own energy and just let the entire world be, because that's what it needs to. That's what it needs to. Those who have not yet awakened, they need to go through that chaos. They need to go through everything. So do not panic yourself. Just know that everybody and everything will be well taken care of, and everybody makes their own decisions. Focus on your own expansion, I'm being told, and during those 3 days. Those are necessary events, so do not fear them. They bring salvation, and that it is needed for the event to bring the massive changes. It's something that needs to occur, and that you're ready and already prepping for this. You've been prepping for a few years. Right now you're tied in 2 different worlds, but this event will release the old one. The old one will no longer be accessible. The new world is being formed, and you're called to exist in it, which is a beautiful, magical world. About your loved ones and your family, just there's nothing that you can do. Just pray for them and set your intentions for them beforehand is what I will ask you. Know that everybody will be taken care of. There's so many galactic spaceships surrounding us now, so many divine beings joining in to assist with this event that is coming very, very soon, during this year, in fact. So that is all the information that I have brought through for you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having an open mind for all of this.